extremely lazy woodpecker.
Yes. That's not what I originally was. But now it is. It's like, done.
Oh, wait, what were you going to be?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Really lazy woodpecker is infinitely better than what I was going to be. Than what it was.
Well,
That would be I wish that would be a great character trait. Was someone who guesses impressions, and your guess is always wrong, but it's better
yeah.
than whatever even if the person's like doing like a dead-on Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
You're like, is that someone who's going through extreme trauma and pain on the inside, but trying to pretend like they're cool on the outside?
Yes.
So they're speaking, and they're like, no, that was Jack Nicholson from A Few Good Men, but shit.
But yes.
Yeah, he's a guy with a lot of power who's abused it and knows deep down inside he was wrong, but is trying to stay cool and calm and collected on the outside.
I like this though. I wanna write this with you.
Yeah.
The extremely lazy woodpecker that you're listening to is Mr. Sean Patton.
And the person you were listening to who guesses, because I wasn't doing a Sean Patton impersonation. I was doing a loud, fucking, somewhat of a dipshit comedian who rambles on. I was just doing an impersonation of a loudmouth moron, and you were like, "You're Sean Patton." I'm like, that is a better. Yes. That is more specific, but yes, that's Caitlin Cook.
Hello. You are listening to 5 Words, the podcast. Do you want to explain it?
I'm going to let you take it.
Okay.
You're good at this.
This is the podcast where we like to play this game, where when someone's like, hey, craziest story just happened to me, we're like, wait. Tell us 5 keywords of the story. We're going to try and figure out what the story is. So that's like the premise. Mm-hmm. And so every episode we have on the guest who has a story that they're going to tell us, but we take 5 keywords first. We try and figure out what the story is. And then the guest tells us the real story, which is redundant because we always fucking nail it.
Yeah. We don't ever fucking nail it. But we go for it.
We do. And I feel like when we do nail it, the podcast is over. So I'm kind of glad we don't nail it.
You say that all the time. And for our huge fans, the legends, they're probably like, God, Caitlin thinks that's going to happen. I think when we nail it, it's going to be like a 5-second moment where all 3 of us, because it'll be 3 of us on the podcast when it happens, us and our guest, get to make a wish. Ooh. And the wishes are granted.
All right.
Because I know if I were a genie, that would be my thing. I'd be like, fuck rubbing a lamp and letting me out of the lamp. I'm going to create scenarios. Mm-hmm. If you nail the scenario, you get one. Fuck it. You don't even have to know that I exist.
All right.
A very... it's not a socialist genie, but it's more of like a... It's a very non-narcissistic genie. He's like, I don't need to make a big presentation coming out of a lamp. I just, whatever. You don't even need to know. I'm a shy genie. What's the word for I'm a selfless genie. Okay. Now I'm just going off on another ramble.
You lost me, to be honest. I have no idea what we're talking about anymore.
This is part of conversation. Now I'm going to come back. Guess who our guest was this past week?
Seaton Smith.
See, yeah. You're back, Brought you right back in.
Yes. We love Seaton very much. He's super funny. I met him personally in Australia. I don't know where you met him.
I met Seaton in 2008 at the Montreal Comedy Festival, and we've been buddies since. I think he's from DC. I know he started comedy in DC. Yeah. Which is a very underrated comedy scene. People often, when they think of the East Coast, obviously Boston, and then Philly, obviously, and then usually after that, probably Atlanta. Even though, depending on how you judge a coastal city. All right. And then, so it's usually those 3 cities, and then maybe D.C.
Yeah, but it's got a great scene. I love the Big Hunt. Draft House is great. It's a cool scene.
I just hope right now someone's listening to this. They're like, did he not see New York? What the fuck is he talking about?
Well,
not New York.
I mean, we live here. That's obvious.
But DC. But he, Seaton was on the tragically gutted by the network show Mulaney, which
we talked a little bit about.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about. I blame execs for that one. There's no way you put John Mulaney, Seaton Smith, and other. I can't. I only saw 1 episode of the show, to be honest, so I didn't hate on it like everyone else did. But those all fucking talented. That whole crew is amazing. Elliot Gould was in it, for Christ's sake. I think. Yeah, it was Elliot Gould. Anyway, but Seaton was in it, and he's been in a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, he's done all the top festivals, and he's been in a ton of shit, and he's super funny. And so we talk a little bit about, like, what's going on in the world right now up top. And then we get into a story, and all in all, it was a really good episode.
Yeah, Seaton's great.
Yeah.
He's just a good guy, and I mean, I'm trying to think of examples in any way. Okay, there's a lazy woodpecker.
Yeah.
The woodpecker, Seaton is anything but a lazy woodpecker.
Okay,
Seaton's
how long is this going to take?
But here's the thing. Being a comedian is a lot like being a woodpecker.
All right, so enjoy the episode.
Seaton's awesome. You're going to love him. Give it a listen. And thank you for listening. Oh, you'll find a new tree. Totally. I was doing that too. I was just stretching.
Stretches. Where are you? Good. Get that stretch on. You gotta fucking feel good. I went to the park. Me and my boy were working out. Fucking had a good day.
Nice. Which part?
Yo, I got a haircut. Nigga, I just found out I got a bodega, right?
Yeah.
And bodega's wild because I found out they do drop-off service laundry, right? And then today I found out they also give haircuts. I'm like,
the bodega?
Yes, bodega. I'm like, y'all are great. This is just too convenient. So, anyways, how you doing?
You have a
Full service bodega.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fucking amazing. I'm really
That's
happy.
a pretty good looking bodega haircut.
I know. I'm like, yo, you my regular dude. I'm not even going back to the barbershop. My life is different now. I'm discovering new things.
I bet a lot of I bet you probably would in general get a better haircut at a barber, like a bodega, than you would at like a high end like Williamsburg barber shop, because they do it with efficiency at a bodega. They're like, we don't have time.
No time.
Fuck that.
No time.
We got customers.
Yeah. There's nobody waiting. There's nobody. You gotta get the shit right. He's very nice. I was like, yo, man, we friends now. I like this. My new bestie. I like that dude. I'm gonna get his number. We're gonna be friends. Cause I'm sick of looking for barbers. It's card. Anyways, y'all look beautiful, man. Nice to see y'all, dude.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah, we're like that. Actually, the way you just described bodegas, I feel like it's how, I don't know, like barber shops were originally, where you could get like a haircut, but then also you can get like stitches removed. And
I mean, honestly, I don't know if that is different in the black neighborhoods. You still go to a good black barbershop. You can go in there back in the 90s or like 2000s. You can go in there, get a haircut, get a fried turkey. I used to have a good fried turkey man who's also my barber. That shit was great. Fried turkey changed me. Also, I mean, porn, maybe some calculators, electronics, anything a crackhead can steal. It's like a swap meet sometimes, yo.
That's great. I just watched the first episode of the new Killer Mike thing that dropped today on Netflix. That's like, it's a series on just sort of like blackness in America, but the first episode is about him trying to live black for 3 days, where he only buys shit from black-owned businesses.
Yeah, I saw that.
And he's like, he spends a lot of time at barbershops, like just trying to figure out where all of the black-owned businesses are in the neighborhoods. And yeah, it's crazy. There's not.
We used to have a network before segregation. Well, he got that far, but before segregation ended, we had a great network, and then after segregation ended, they used to have that map. Like whenever a black person with black people across country, they would have to give you that special black map. Like, this is the route not to get murdered.
Yeah, the green book. Yeah.
That book was a popular book. I don't know why that book got discontinued. I ain't gonna lie, there was some gigs. I could have used it. I was like, I don't like this neighborhood, but whatever.
Yeah.
That what the Green Book, the movie, is named after?
No, that was just another white savior movie.
Okay.
Oh man, white people, y'all are good at just saving black people in 2 hours. It's amazing.
I haven't seen the Sandra Bullock football one.
I actually liked it. It was good. I like Sandra Bullock. I got a guilty pleasure on Sandra. I probably watch all of her movies. I find her one of the most adorable human beings ever made.
That's cute. I don't know how that movie holds up, actually, because there's a lot of movies now that people are like, oh, that's got a weird white savior complex, but I haven't rewatched that one, so I don't know.
I don't know if white savior is going to go out of style. I'm sorry. I don't know if y'all noticed this whole movement is kind of
oh, yeah.
I can't even go on Instagram no more. My Instagram women are just not fun to follow anymore. So I gotta I gotta follow business quotes now in order to not fucking feel sad. I can't watch. I mean, maybe I'm the minority. I can't watch people like me get murdered every day. That's just not. I can't function. So I gotta stop. That's why I stopped going on Facebook. Like 2015 Facebook was nothing but murders, and now it's all on Instagram. Now I'm like, thank God we got changed, but God, I can't sit through this shit.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah, I mean, has there ever been a black savior movie?
well, Bagger Vance technically.
Yeah, but he had to be dead. That was fucked up. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
no,
He had to
yeah,
be a ghost. Why
yeah, no, absolutely.
I was fucking like, why can't he? Why does he have to be dead? Yeah, like
It's either a dead or a servant. Like the servants are always like, let me just show you how to do this, honey. You know what I mean? It's one of those kind of things. It's kind of like Cinderella, you know, grandmother, except, you know, the grandmother's sassy. So yeah, there's those movies. They're there. They're probably not as popular. But maybe they might come back.
I mean, even like Gran Torino was almost like a white anti-hero savior movie. You know what I mean?
Well, you got to look at the filmmaker on that one. That's that's a specific reference. And I ain't going to be mad at Clint. Clint comes from a specific. Just the fact that Clint doesn't say nigga every day is a victory for me. I mean, look at him. I mean, yo, he's 80 years old. He appeals to that group.
But he will talk to black presidents who aren't there. He'll fucking chairs. You remember that?
Yeah.
Like that was such fucking weird. Like Clint, buddy, just address the Republicans.
Yeah. All I'm saying is it could have been much worse. That was my.
Could have been much worse.
Like,
You're right. He could
dude.
have called on like the other. Get him, boys! And you're like, wait, hold on. He's not even. First of all, there's no one there. Secondly, are you doing a fucking imagined scenario, buddy? Yeah.
Was that 2016 or was that 2012?
That was Romney, I believe. That was when. That was,
okay.
That was when
Okay.
Romney. So 2012. Yeah.
Exactly. If he did that for Trump, it would be much worse. So, you know what I'm saying? I got to give Clint, you know, you got to give old white people a chance sometimes, in my opinion. As long as they're not trying to kill you. You're like, all right.
What do you think though about, because like I spend a lot of time, especially lately, on conservative Twitter, just because like and just because like I want to see what the fuck, you know, I'm trying. It's like I'm not trying to see both sides. I'm just trying to like, what are they thinking?
No, you want to know.
You want to know what the other side's thinking, and something. I mean, what do you think about people like David Clark, like the sheriff in Milwaukee? I mean, like
Well, what did he say? I don't watch the news every day.
I mean, he's like, there seems to be this like handful or so of like black figures that are just completely against Black Lives Matter and are completely against this movement, or just and like, you know, like Candace Owens, and like
okay. I'm not gonna group everybody together.
Right.
The Clark dude, there are three types of niggas. Sorry, 3 types of black people you want to figure out in this situation. The Clark dude, there are black cops who just don't like black people, and they're gone. They're numb. They don't give a fuck, and they're down a factory. And these guys are like, all right, man, just don't kill me. Then there's Candace Owens. Candace Owens got abused when she was a kid. She ain't gonna admit that shit. She don't give a fuck. Somebody black raped and beat the shit out of her, and that's why she's crazy. Or she's neglected the shit. I don't know why nobody else talk about that. That's not nobody at that age gets that far without some dark shit. I'm sorry. Even yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. Wait. She's what? 30 maybe, or is she older?
I don't think she's 30. I don't even know if she's 22.
Oof, let's find out.
You think she's that young?
I think she's like. I remember when she first came out, she was a teenager. I remember that was a couple years ago, and she was like 17, 18. I really don't think she's even. She may not be 22 in my opinion. How old is she? What's up?
31.
31.
Is she?
Yeah, surprise.
That's still young for someone to be that. But that's what's scary about conservative Twitter is they're like they really run with this Antifa idea. Like there's Antifa.
Well, they think that's established.
They think that's like some real like shit happening in the streets everywhere in every city. Like just people in masks burning and like I still get messages from people who live in like Louisiana or small cities like, what's it like? Are the riots affecting you? And I'm like, they're not riots. We go to them. They're protests. They don't
Yeah.
usually turn into anything more than peaceful protest until the very end of the line. Or, I mean, during curfew week, it was like, hey, it's 7:30, curfew's at 8. You started to see the presence of cops just fucking multiply. And but now even like without the curfew, it's still mostly peaceful, but people are still asking me like, so are there riots near your apartment? I'm like, they're not riots.
Well, this is why Seaton's not watching the news, because it's bad news.
It's bad news. It's all bad. That, and also too, like, it's weird. The same people that say they're all rioters will also say there's only a couple of bad apples in the police. But they're also both sides. Both sides is just whitewashing the entire situation. And I mean, my position on the whole thing is a little different than theirs, so I'm not going to go there yet. But I will say, hold on. A lot of things are happening right now in my brain right now, so I'm gonna try to gather. I feel like there was a third black guy I wanted to get to, but I forgot. Oh, there's a third black one. I want to get back to that.
Please.
Third black people are the ones that are so afraid about shit happening that they just don't want white people to get angry at all. Their whole thing is if white people get angry, then the worst things are going to happen. So that's where that's coming from. So those are the three types of black. The abused, the scared to fucking talk, and the ones that are so far gone, they don't give a fuck. But here's the other factor. My father said this best, because my father, he wrote 7 books on the whole systematic destruction of black people. It's great.
Wow.
So here's his theory. After World War II, a bunch of veterans came back, and they, white veterans, came back and they realized they was poor as shit. All the white people live in the city. So around, 48? I don't know if y'all remember the big veterans fucking riots. Mm-hmm. So white people got a shitload of riots, and after that, the government gave a bunch of white people money. And that's where the Housing Act came at. That's where all those acts came. So therefore, but the thing is, once you got the Housing Act, you move to the suburbs, all the white people will let the black people come in. So black people didn't get that act until 1964. Here's the thing. Both of those acts were preceded by riots. White people rioted in the 40s, got all this shit. Black people rioted in the 60s, they got all this shit. So, I mean, the real fact of the matter is riots create change. I'm not for it on paper, but I mean, honestly, yeah, like now that white people are seeing how bad cops are, they're like, yo, like, okay, now I gotta come back because I want to actually say something. I honestly don't think the problem right now is the cops, I think it's a bigger problem. It's the laws that are unproportionately put onto black people than they are not on white people. That is the problem. In fact, the black cops have to enforce the laws that are put there. So yes, a lot of people that they do arrest are unlawful, but a lot of those laws should be in existence in the first place. Like the fact the whole massive sweep of putting people in jail for doing crack, not even selling it, just for being a crack, just for being an addict. And the fact now that we have this whole white, but y'all don't know this shit. So,
well, no, we have a lot of laws that are not at all designed to help people or to affect any sort of change. They're designed to lock people away.
Yeah.
And now with the opioid epidemic and like more knowledge about mental health, of course, and that it's more white people, you're seeing like more lenient laws and like more cases of social workers helping, which is great, but it should have happened back then.
It should have happened forever. And the biggest one is the gun thing as fuck, because you can see the cops' positions. They're like, yo, I don't know who has a gun, so therefore I should have a tank to protect myself. And you're like, that's a crazy thought, but if you live in a world with this many guns, then like, how are we gonna solve this problem? Because like, there's a video I just got sent where they actually try to get a person. They were like, they got a protester and then put him in a particular situation. They put him through some tests that cops have to put through to evaluate the situation and to figure out whether or not they're gonna get shot or not. And I'm gonna send you the video. The videos were silly. Like one video was like one exercise where he walked up to a guy who was just kind of looking suspicious around a van, and he's just looking around, and he was supposed to go over there and talk to him, and then the guy attacked him, so he ended up shooting him. And I'm like, yeah, but why are you fucking with that dude? He wasn't doing nothing. Like, it was like a lot of little things like that where like, the cop's baseline thought is, all right, this dude's gonna murder me. Let me walk in the situation to figure out how I can not murder him, which is not the baseline we should be having. The baseline should be, yo, who needs help? Who doesn't need help? Then like, I don't know. It's like they're like, even I was talking to a cop about that shit that happened in Atlanta, and the cop said that dude had a bunch of chances. Why the fuck does a dude that's not violent have a bunch of chances? Why does that conversation even happen? there while he got violent eventually? Because you were hanging out for 45 minutes fucking harassing. All right, so that's my whole point. Yeah. That's just like the baseline right now. But again, it goes back to laws, and it goes back to laws and the fucking gun law. The gun shit, man, I feel like, I don't know how many mass murderers we need, how many examples we need right now. Maybe we need like the cops shooting a bunch of people after a mass murderer shooting a bunch of people. And then maybe we'll see. Maybe. It's not obviously shooting up a school full of kids is going to be the problem.
No, I mean, it's fucking crazy, man, because people always talk about like, or people keep bringing up like without cops, you know, who defends from what? I'm like, dude, you don't realize like now there are militia groups on both sides. It isn't just a right wing. It is not just a right wing thing. There are left wing militia groups who are walking around, who are like, that's one of the reasons why all hell hasn't broken out in Seattle. Because
the balance?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they changed the name from Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone to Capitol Hill Organized Protest. And now it's like you've got you've got a bunch of left-wing militia groups hanging out being like, we're not going to let cops or right-wingers come here and start shit. We've got guns too. So like, and that they're not the only one. I went on a fucking rabbit hole of these people last night. There's a bunch of, so there are armed groups on both sides.
Both sides. And
it becomes this thing where it's like, so without cops, it's almost like the same thing, just without badges.
I mean, you see that militia group that stood outside of the dude who murdered Aubrey in Atlanta? Remember that? There was a video of like a Black Panther stood outside of that guy's home until he got it. I was like, and they look scary as fuck, but cops ain't gonna roll up on a fucking crew of people with machine guns. If you have 10 dudes with machine guns, you have to have a conversation. First, you have to. And that's like weird because people are, oh no, it's all about peace and love. You're like, and I'm not advocating violence at all. Even though I understand violence differently now. Like, especially like since I started fighting 5 years ago, and before I started fighting, I used to be like, oh yeah, violence is the worst thing. And now I'm like, nah, violence ain't the worst thing. Like, you learn so much after you get hit in the face. You learn so much humility. You learn respect. You learn, you learn more about yourself. Like, I don't know. I was in the park today hitting with a pass with a dude. He hit me. It's just like I understand, like there's a lot of cops who aren't trained like that with physical violence. You could tell because they freak out when being touched at any point in life. You go, oh, like he doesn't know what it's like. But again, a lot of these people who get arrested don't know what it's like either. That's why they flip out. But it's like, yeah, it's not normal to be fucking confined by another human being. That shit makes you automatically go crazy. And like they go, oh, I had to shoot him because he was acting weird. You fucking all right now. It's a complicated problem, but it's like I think it really is. Guns got to go. And it's going to happen soon. It feels the pressure, yo.
Well, that's another thing about the CHOP that is frightening, too, is like you see Fox News' coverage on it. You see all these right-wing coverage on it. They make it seem like it's just a goddamn, like a post-apocalyptic war zone, right? And then you look at everyone else's coverage on it, and it's like, no. I mean, yeah, there are some guys over there with guns, and, yeah, there's some people over there arguing loudly, but for the most part, everyone's eating free food and having conversations and debates about anti-racist movements, offering free mental health sessions. And like, in many ways, it's functioning like a society, like an actual society is, where like it's reflecting everything in a larger society where you've got some situations happening over here, but they're being dealt with non-violently. And yeah, you've got some crazy people over here, but they're also being dealt with non-violently. But then you've also got like people buying hot dogs and T-shirts or eating free food, which is a metaphor for, the capitalism, but also socialism. You've got professors walking around, and it's just like a very it's frightening though, seeing that there's no central media, no unbiased media anymore, just purporting, just being like, this is what's actually happening. You've got Fox News reporters going out there and being like, look at me, I just got shoved because there was that one thing about they showed a bunch of people in the zone choking out a preacher, right? And the way a lot of the right presented it was like, look at them, they aren't comfortable with a Christian talking about Catholic values in a free speech zone. But then you see a long video And the fact is, he walked on a stage that they were about to do like a celebration of black women and just started shouting about Jesus and refused to leave. So they choked him out to get him off the stage. So it's like, everyone just wants to agenda spin and no one wants to actually just report. And
I can go further.
And
with
this
that
is why there's an
Go ahead.
uptick in guns. This is definitely why there's an uptick in gun sales over the past probably 2 decades, is because everyone's afraid.
Yeah.
The media is very sensationalist right now. It's about getting viewers rather than like giving a full story. And journalists are being targeted right now by police.
I'll go even further and say that the media was always a lie. It was never truthful. I don't think their point is to be truthful. There's a statement that reporters always say. Reporters always say, we are looking for the truthful story. Now, anybody who knows how stories work knows that stories are lies, but structurally, they are lies. So when you look me in the face and tell me you found a truthful story, you are lying to me. And so therefore, when the media says you need us to keep shit balanced, give me an example in the history of humankind where the fucking media ever did that. That's not a true statement. They are liars. They are not needed. Their job is to fucking go in a room and yell and give people attention. It is not, that's just my opinion, but it's just like schools. When they say, oh, yeah, schools help you get more work or help you make money. You're not going to get a good job without school, when most people who come out of school are in debt for the rest of their fucking lives. So I'm just not believing in institutions. I don't believe in the police. I think the idea of my defund police idea is different than their police. My thing is, I believe the justice system is a flawed idea. Pursuing justice is like pursuing wrath. It's like pursuing revenge. There is no good end to those things. In a movie, absolutely, fucking get all your revenge. But in real life, revenge creates more revenge, which creates more hate, which creates more death. Nobody's ever happy. You sit in a fucking killer to an election chair. Do you see that fucking family coming out like, oh, thank God. They're just fucking more angry. Thank God. I wish we could have killed them more. And they fucking go more and more sick. I mean, psychologically speaking, it's just destructive to the highest fucking manner. So, I mean, the idea of justice to me is just garbage. So, anyway. But then also the media is garbage.
What do you, that's really interesting. What do you see in like rules of society? Like,
I don't know exactly how this could happen, but I know there are a lot of instances where there's this one tribe, I want to say either in Africa or South America, I got to fucking find the name of them, where if somebody fucked up in the tribe, they would put the kid down or person down in the middle of the village, and every person in the village would sit down and tell them one wonderful thing about that person. So wow. They were trying to consciously and to rehabilitate. I think they're trying to do that here in fucking, trying to do that in Sweden, where they're actually trying to rehabilitate. The guy who fucking massacred people, it was 9 people massacred. They fucking let him out after a year. All right, you're good. And he was like, all right, I'm good. It was like, oh, you're telling me if you're not angry and fucking vindictive the entire time, you could just move on with life? Like, dude, I guess I'm getting old and spiritual and shit, but I'm understanding, dude, like when you're young, yeah, you got that fire and shit, but you don't understand. Forgiveness is the only way you can live. And it's not only that theoretically. I mean, you either are going to be vengeful and die and fucking forgive and live. And I've only seen, because I've got a lot of I got a lot of family members who've gone down that dark ass path. My grandma died angry and mean and angry at everybody. There ain't no end to that anger, yo. That's why I don't like believing in the justice system. And yeah, I believe love's the only way to fix it.
Interesting.
I was watching the Daryl Davis documentary. I don't know if Sean, you might have heard it in the background, but it's he was just like a boogie woogie pianist, and he was the guy that befriended all those KKK members and like kind of got them to defect from the KKK. And I was reading more about deprogramming, and it's like it's very clear that like these people have been brainwashed and have gone on a path of hatred because they don't know anybody outside that world, and they haven't been treated like a human being. Anyone that hears those views reacts hatefully towards them. So it's just like this cycle of like, of course, these people are bad because anytime I express my perspective, they shit all over me. So it's really hard to deprogram someone, and like the best way is to treat every human with empathy, but God, is that exhausting.
Hard as fuck. Hard as fuck without training. I'm like bored, so I'm taking a lot of classes online now, and I took one on hypnosis. And once I understood what hypnosis actually was, you get it away from the stage hypnosis shit. You realize, like, their whole philosophy on hypnosis is you're always in a trance. The goal is to get that person onto your trance. So therefore, you're always being hypnotized by some shit. If it's not the radio, it's like you're driving, you're in a trance. If you're listening to a great conversation, you're in a trance. Hear a great song, you're in a trance. A lot of times, though, fucking thing is, the brain, your unconscious brain is the one that's telling you, like the ones, I don't know if you have success problems, but I'm all like, you're always gonna fail, you're always gonna fail. It's a trance. They're using trance language, they're using trance emotions. So it's like, once I understood that, I was like, oh shit, like I'm creating my own reality. Like, so like that's happening to everybody. Like, and so all these, like, yeah. If you actually approach people with that mentality, whenever they commit crimes, you could actually prevent the future ones. I mean, honestly, that's the whole premise of Batman. If you think about it, he was like, yo, if you don't study these motherfuckers, then that's just gonna keep happening. Like with, like this is a bad example, it's an uncomfortable example, but Harvey Weinstein, remember when he got that Ashanti woman, the director woman, what's her name? She was Ashanti, but there was a woman that was raped by Harvey Weinstein, and then she ended up raping the boy herself, right? And it was just like, right. So it was like one of those like, well,
I did not know about that. That's crazy.
Yeah, she got in trouble. Like, the thing is, they didn't. Here's the thing: in the paper, they didn't put it like that. They just said this woman raped this kid. They just said that. They didn't say, by the way, she also was raped by Harvey Weinstein. But like, if you know that about a motherfucker, and you know that is a tendency, you're not putting people in jail. You can actually stop the cycle. But instead, because we're so vengeful, we're continuing these cycles. Mm-hmm. It's fucking crazy. And I'm gonna go. Actually, this actually links to another point. I don't know if you read The Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. He had this awesome art. He had this one chapter about the Hatfields and the McCoys, right? And about how they always, like, basically the Hatfield and McCoys, where they were always killing each other for years. That actually was happening all down the fucking Appalachian Mountains. It was actually a shitload of that. That was just the most famous one. And it's interesting because it dawned on me that the Hatfields and McCoys is the same thing that's happening in Chicago right now, where people aren't killing they're not even killing each other over drugs anymore. It's just fucking pride. You did this shit, I'm gonna get you. You did this shit, you kill my boy, I'm gonna keep getting you and keep getting you. Which is just Hatfields and McCoys. You kill my cousin, I'm gonna kill you. You kill my brother. And it's like that. It's cycle just ends up more murder. Which goes back to my whole justice point, which goes back to my whole just psychological point.
It goes back to Sunni and Shiite. It goes to
Israel and Palestine. Yeah.
It's Palestine. This is pride.
Did I say Sunni? I probably said that wrong. I'm sorry. It's Sunni, isn't it?
What?
Sunni is.
Yes.
Yeah, I totally said that wrong. My bad. My bad, list. I think I said Sunni and Shiite. I think it's Sunni.
Oh, Sunni. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Sunni and Shiite.
Hey,
but
you try to make a leap there. I think that was good. I think it was a good attempt, Sean. I like it.
Yeah, I know, but there are this is one of the things one of my qualms about the left as well is there are people out there who will just stop listening to me because I said that. You know what I mean?
Oh,
yeah. I made a mistake. I'm admitting it now. I said Sunni instead of Sunni. But the point, I believe, is 100% valid. And
I hate those people.
It's also just like in writing how there's the Capulet and the Montague, you know? And look, I mispronounced that as well. My bad. It's Montague. It has nothing to do with the actual group.
It's just like the Jets and the Shorts, you know, in West Side Story.
Yeah, Shorts.
I get it.
Crips and Bloods. Yeah, dude. It's I mean, sometimes some of that shit is business. Sometimes, like, don't get me wrong, drugs is like a business thing. So people die over business all the time. So I'm not gonna. But there's a lot of that shit's like psychological pride and this shit. And so I don't know. I never made that leap before because there's always that whole like, yeah, the police are shooting cops. But what about the black people shooting cops? You're like, guys, that it's not. Yeah, it's interesting. It's just interesting.
Well, because it's also like, what's supposed to happen? Because I saw this. I mean, years ago, Kumail Nanjiani tweeted years ago where he tweeted how, and this was, I mean, such a different time. It was like early 2016 where he was like, yeah, Trump will eventually go away, but all of his supporters won't. What then? And this was back like early Trump nomination, or before he even got nominated, when it was just like, all these people want this guy to be president. But more so now, where it's like, Biden wins, all these Trump supporters aren't going to just vaporize. And at the end of the day, it's like, that's not what I personally want. I don't want to get out there and vanquish Trump supporters. I think you look at, I think most Trump supporters, 90+% of Trump supporters just don't know and are just being lied to and are terrified of the other side.
Well, that's why we got to have circles around them where we all give them a compliment. And probably.
Why?
But
I mean, the
also-
news shit is real. The news hypnotism shit is real. That is scaring the fuck out of them. Like I mean, I honestly think if I was a dictator, I would eliminate the media. So I honestly, I mean, the only way to do it, like, the only way to fucking solve that problem,
I mean, also,
or I would make it non-profit. You cannot be a profit-based media company. Only a non-profit company. That is the only way to make it reasonable, because this is not responsible what they're doing. So to lie and say it's truth like this, it needs to be railed in. But again, I think we need to fucking eliminate privatized prisons. We need to every black kid that got arrested for weed needs to be fucking allowed to fucking buy a weed farm. Because that's the fucked up thing about the laws. It's like, all right,
it's legal now.
No. Here's the thing. Somebody last night told me about the Breonna Taylor thing, right? The Breonna Taylor thing was in a very complicated situation because she technically was in a trap house. So the no knock warrant, they were surveying that house for a while. So therefore, they kind of knew what was going on in there. That's one side of it. That's their story. I personally wasn't. When I was 4 years old, I was in a drug bust where they actually got the address wrong. So I don't know if I completely believe their story. So that's neither here nor there. The main point is they always say these black people, they have illegal drugs, therefore they're evil. I want to analyze that statement because I want to know how the fuck you take crack, you take meth, you take heroin. I want to know, how is Pfizer better than that? How are all those pharmaceutical companies doing better when they legitimately are on paper saying we forced them to take drugs they did not need? There are doctors saying we have forced motherfuckers to take drugs and we just told them it's okay and they're fucking dead. And how are they better? How is the fucking laws better? So therefore, like, they're in a small business. So I don't even see them as evil people. I see them in a small business and they're being taken over by a big business because the big business has the fucking police on their side. That is my belief on drugs, because if drugs are evil, then Pfizer shouldn't exist. But if it's not, then this all should be fucking regulated and they shouldn't be in jail. You're taking, it's like 7-Eleven taking out bodegas. That's what they're fucking doing. It ain't fucking morally high. So that's again, it goes back to the fucking drug problem.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that problem always goes back to a small percentage of people who've always been millionaires and billionaires and trillionaires staying that way. I mean, not trillionaires. I think, well, I don't know. Everybody's like, Jeff Bezos might be the world's first trillionaire. It's like, do we really? You don't think there's already a couple that actually run the world? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't think there's a couple
There's that
behind?
argument. I met that guy once. He's cool. I met him in like 2000, like right before I don't even know if he's a billionaire then, but I remember he was like rich as shit.
Back when Amazon was like, oh, books, those are cute.
Yeah, I just met him. I was like, hey, this is cool. I asked some dumb questions and shit, whatever a 19-year-old would ask me and shit. I was like, oh shit, I wish I asked him a better, like a fucking internship.
That's the thing about capitalism. If there was a way to put a fucking cap on capitalism, for example, something that, and Caitlin and I have talked about this, something that Amazon does that I fucking despise is when something starts selling well on Amazon, they create a cheaper Amazon version, a knockoff version that goes to the top of the recommendations list. So you don't, if you want to buy a coffee maker from Black & Decker, for example, and it starts selling well, when you look up coffee maker, Black & Decker, it'll show you the three first. So like, I'm on corner the market for home delivery and online ordering. Fine. But don't also create the part where you rip off people's ideas that don't sell well because of your company per se, but sell well because they're good fucking ideas.
They have
and
so many issues. I mean,
I'm not even mad about that. I mean, that's just business. I'm mad that medicine and school, because school is bullshit. I don't even mind school being, because they steal money from us. I don't want socialized medicine should not be for profit. That's the main problem. Because you know, our medicine here is much more expensive than fucking everywhere else. That's not even that good. I was in Australia and I had some fucking, I think I just needed some, I needed something. And I remember I went there and I got it, and it was like, it was much easier. Because it's like, I just walk in, they're like, what's the problem? Oh, okay, here, take this. It's like, what the fuck?
Wait, that's when we were in Australia?
Yeah,
Might have been when we were in Australia. I might have when I hurt my back, or maybe when I always go there and do dumb shit. I always go fight over there. Because Australians love to fight. It's like, oh shit, I'm fucking.
I will say, when Seaton was there, when Caitlin and I, we were all there in 2018. Seaton, you remember going and seeing Aussie Rules football?
I do remember that, dude. That was fun. That was really fun.
That was a good time. That was a good sport. It's like basketball mixed with rugby
Yeah.
and soccer.
Yeah.
But
a little football, because they had football bodies.
Yeah, oh yeah, those guys are fucking jacked and running a lot. But yeah, man, like, no, you're right. Like, the dude, the guy a couple fucking years ago, the kid, what the fuck? I hated him. I used to shout his name so much in anger. The fucking kid who bought that medication that was for people with AIDS.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Martin Schleck.
Yeah.
Martin Schleck. Yeah.
Did he get arrested or something? What happened?
Allowed in the first place. The fact that he was even allowed to buy the shit is insane. You know what I mean? Like, not just an idea, not just a guy rambling on about, like, I'm going to do this. The fact that it was like legal thing to do until someone was eventually like, wait, no, fuck no. And then it was this whole legal proceeding and it was all this bullshit. That's, medicine. You see, you say school. The thing is, I think I agree with you. Like, I hate institutions. I really do, especially educational institutions. Now, hold on. Let me clarify that. In the sense of, like, when there's an institution and there's a syllabus and there's when it's broken down into, like, this is what you do. You go to this class. Everybody has to go this class, and move on to this, and then it just becomes about the paperwork and the everything. Everything looks good on paper, standardized testing, all that. It doesn't really fucking work. It's not engaging. It removes. It doesn't really measure intellect, and you don't actually learn anything. Cramming for a test isn't learning anything. But I do love the idea of education. I think education should be of the utmost importance across the board in every nation. It should be number one. That's where all the money, that's where all the brains, that's where all the sexiness is. Educating should be sexy. You know what I mean? Like, kids should grow up being like, damn, being a professor is being a thought professor, a thought constructioneer. That's what we should call them instead of professors, thought constructioneers. It should be a sexy, admired thing. But it should also be, what's the way to say this? Like,
entertaining. It should be entertaining.
But also, like, not so standardized. Like, it should be like, hey, Seaton is amazing at English. He's amazing at structural thought. And he's great at extrapolation. So we don't need to fucking bore him for 4 more years with, say, math. He understands math that the most he's ever going to understand it. Now let's apply everything from age 13 and on to these things that work for him that he gets, that he will be engaged by, that will expand his brain, it will grow his mind, and he won't be distracted by painful, awful shit. And if he is, we'll diagnose it. We'll figure out what's wrong, case by case. But that requires a lot more.
Seaton, what were you saying? Sorry, Zoom does this thing where it's like highlighting Sean's voice because he's very loud, and I didn't hear what you said.
No, it's okay. No, he's making some good points. I just said entertaining. I think school has taken out emotion, and they think that they separated the brain, the body, and the emotions. And now that I've grown up, I didn't realize your emotions is the key to your life. If you don't manage your emotions, then you're not going to learn as well. If you don't manage your emotions, you're not going to lose weight or shape as well. You're not going to fucking, everybody that I know, when you love something, you learn everything you can about it. Even the dumbest motherfucker, he'll learn one thing. Oh, I love this. And he'll talk to you for hours about one thing. And that's like how learning should be. It should be like, force yourself to learn dumb shit that's irrelevant to your life. Like the fact that I'm still angry that I learned algebra. I'm fucking angry. That's so much wasted time. I'm fucking 30. There's no legitimate algebra situation for me. But yet here I'm just, fuck those people. You know what I mean? Like,
and that's the thing. Like, yes, there should be a period where you do have to chat, like a certain point where it's like, no, we've got to challenge these kids to see if they can or do understand it. And if they, but if not, move on. For example, like someone like Caitlin should have gone to school for 8 hours a day as a kid because she was a smarter, nerdier person. No offense, but we all know this. We can just tell this by listening to you. But that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
I love school, but so just a couple thoughts on this is like, I was a teacher, I studied pedagogy, like specifically for early childhood education, but like in terms of like how you get kids that are that young that don't even know how to like sit down properly on a carpet, let alone a chair. Like how do you get them excited about learning? And like, how do you teach things in a way that's more activity based so that they feel like they're just having fun and they're actually learning? And also like a lot of emotional tools, which is something that we should continue outside of elementary school, like how to calm down when you get angry, like how to share, how to talk to other people, how to be respectful. And we kind of stop that at like, I don't know, like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Or like maybe at the end of elementary school at the latest, but by then you're just expected to like know these things. And then you're a teenager and you're raging with hormones and crazy emotions, and then you're not taught anything.
Junior high is the worst for that reason. Junior high is when the hormones come and nobody tells you how to be polite. I am just now having flashbacks going, oh shit, I was rude as fuck when I did that at 13, but I didn't know. I just was just talking, look at her titties, they don't fit a bra. I just didn't know that was an inappropriate thing to say. I just said it, and now I'm like thinking about it like, oh fuck, wish I could text her. Like, yo, remember that thing I said 20 years ago? Oh man, I just didn't know that was rude.
Yeah, well, you're not tough, but yeah, Sean, I didn't mean to shut you down before. I just totally.
You weren't shutting me down. I mean, I was going to say, I was going to get to that. I was like, you actually did teach for America. You actually were on that side. I also think that like there's an arrogance, and like I don't like elitism. I'm not fucking for that. I think that's part of the problem. I think because let's say your vocabulary is amazing. I do not ever mistake that. Intelligence and education do not always go hand in hand.
No.
And I hate dealing with those fucks who like, oh, so that's what capitulation that is. When you're like, wait, I'm sorry, what does capitulation mean again? And like, oh wow, really? And you're like, oh wow, really? Yes.
Emotional teaching. They feel better. Like being very book smart, and they weren't taught to like have empathy and like how to communicate with various different people that have different communication styles. You know, that's like a lack of like emotional training, basically.
Honestly, I think I'm gonna admit this. I don't think he's gonna be mad at me about this, but I remember when I was on Mulaney doing that show, there were words that they would use as jokes and punchlines that I've read but I've never said out loud. And so we'll be at the table and I'll just try to say it, and then everybody just start busting out laughing. And I think they thought I was kind of slow and stupid for like about the first 6 episodes. And then I just started, then we finally had a conversation. He's like, oh, how do you know all that? How do you know? Well, yeah, I don't say this word out loud. Who the fuck says this word? I've never had a conversation like this. So, yeah.
Yeah, I just finished writing a song in which I like list all the words I mispronounced growing up because I was a big, as Sean said, nerd, and I would read a lot. And then I would like try and say the words I was reading as written. So I used to say like subtle and get laughed at instead of saying subtle. And it's like, you shouldn't laugh at anyone that like, you clearly know what they're trying to say. Just like teach them how to say it.
Wait, do you remember that Damon Wayans though? Remember that Damon Wayans in Love and Color character, the prisoner who comes back, the prisoner who read everything and tries to use big words to make his points, but really doesn't know what he's saying. Oh, he's like, see, you know what I'm saying? If you constipate your way into the, he's saying shit like that, you're like, oh, yeah, everybody Google that character. It's an amazing character.
Damon Wayans, dude, much like the human race, capable of such beauty and then such stupidity. And you watch some of his, you remember his like old stand-up specials where it was like, that's brilliant. Wait, what the fuck are you talking about? That's amazing.
His first 2 hours were there.
Bill Cosby got called out. He was one of the first guys to shit on Hannibal when and then it was like, whoa, fucking Damon, chill out, buddy. But yeah, I do remember that character.
No, he was. I remember one time. Yeah, well, I don't want to talk shit about Damon. I think Damon's career has been real interesting because I don't know. A lot of times I want to talk shit about people. I'm like, they are multimillionaires, so there's only so much shit. You know what I mean? Like they succeeded in some way. But yeah, he does that though. He has this whole style where he likes to go as much farther than he's supposed to, and then he'll just edit it all out and then make a wonderful hour and then throw it all out and then do it again without even taping specials anymore. He's been doing this for like 20 years, but he'll just make perfect hours and then not fucking work on it and then not care, which is kind of an interesting life. I ain't gonna lie. Yeah. If I could just talk shit on stage all the time without doing anything, I'm like, that'd be fun. Because I do that as a host. But I don't want to do that anymore. I'm not gonna host no more. So I may just gonna go to Brooklyn Open Mics and just talk shit. I miss it.
I feel like Chappelle has become like an oracle in the sense where it's just like just aim a camera at him and give him a microphone and let him comment on what's going on right now.
He's taking the Cosby. He's taking the Cosby slot where Cosby was doing all the genius shit before. He was doing all the 3-hour shows and fucking weaving in the way, and then like. Again, now that I'm studying more hypnosis, I'm starting to see how much hypnosis he uses. Do you know it's hypnotic? If you start a story and then stop it to start another story, and then stop that story to start another story, it's called nested loops. It's hypnotic. People can't stop listening. They want you to finish the story. I didn't realize like it was does that shit all the time. I was like, oh, motherfucker. This is like a private conversation. I probably shouldn't do this on a podcast, but I'm just find this fascinating.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Man,
so,
I want to learn about hypnosis.
You said what?
I said I want to learn about hypnosis now.
I've had so much time to chill. I'm like learning more obscure shit. I'm like, yo, what the fuck? So,
every time Chappelle hits his leg with the microphone, it's
anchor.
Another like you're like you're like completely invested further every time.
Yeah.
But I feel like Cosby wasn't actually I feel like Chappelle is not trying to like pull. He does not pull punches. He's not capable. It seems like. Whereas Cosby seemed like not even try and throw any at certain points.
No, he's like, he's definitely much more Dick Gregory than he is Cosby. But I would say, like, there's not really a world right now where Cosby's, like, his whole philosophy is what made him. I want to be clean and for everybody and show black people a pretty image. And we needed that shit for the time he did it. That's the one thing, like, we needed a fucking black dude to look good in the 80s because crack came and they were killing us like a motherfucker then. So we needed that shit. So I get what he was doing. Now we need a motherfucker to speak up. It's like the difference between, like, Jackie Robinson and fucking Barry Bonds. You know what I'm saying? You need one decade, we needed this motherfucker, another decade, not Barry Bonds, bad example. There was that one baseball player in the 60s who decided to boycott because he wanted to be a free agent. It's kind of like that nigga, but nobody remembers his name. They just remember the fact that everybody else made mad money because of him.
Yeah, dude, that's I mean, you talk about media too. Like I remember, it wasn't until I moved to New York that I started hearing that Dave Chappelle wasn't actually crazy. Because previously, the only thing I'd ever fucking heard was he walked off the show because he had a mental breakdown. I was like, oh, that sucks. I love that show. I love that guy. And then when I moved here in 2007, it was like, no, Dave Chappelle's not nuts. It was like talking to older guys. I was like, really? Really? And then when he started coming back, it was like, oh, he isn't. And then I remember that
media bias.
What?
That's that media bias.
It's not even media bias. He fucked with the TV company itself. He didn't fuck with the media. He fucked with the media. And the media was like,
and they never stepped in and were like, no, Dave's not crazy. We just had a difference of opinion.
Yeah. But the TV companies own the media companies, so they.
I think they started the story. Yeah.
Yeah.
They started that story because have you heard Cat Williams' version of that shit?
No.
Cat Williams explains it in a wonderful way. Dave had a contract. It was like, what was some crazy number? It was like 50% or some percentage where it was like he was supposed to make $500 million, and they were like, "Nah, you're gonna make 10% of that. You're gonna make $50 million." And they were like, he was like, "But that's the deal. You're fucking the deal." Yeah, well, that's fuck it. And that's why he's like, "I'm gonna not do it." And they're like, by the time you land on the plane, everybody's gonna know that you were crazy. You were gonna be a crazy nigga. And that's what happened. He got on the plane and he landed, and suddenly he was a crazy nigga. And that apparently that's the Cat Williams version of that story. And that just makes more sense than him going to Africa to do crack because he feels crazy. That just doesn't make sense. You know, like, so him being fucked over by Viacom makes complete sense. They fuck over everybody. And that's a game.
I know there's fucking, that's another thing I hate is people who like, oh, because I've said that before and people are like, what, you didn't know back then? You were just watching. It's like, yeah, I was fucking 23 years old. I was just watching bullshit in the early aughts. And I'm not the show, just like news. I didn't know shit about news. And also that's the problem with a lot of news today where it's like, where are you getting your sources? All these anti-fucking media people. It's like some fucking dude who listens to your podcast who tweets out shit who has 18 followers. And it's like, oh, this has got to be the real. There's so, it's.
Can I give you another little notch to that story, which is interesting? when I was on Mulaney, I got really obsessed with people who got fired from shows. I was like, how the fuck happened? Got obsessed with it. So I found out about Ellen. The whole story with Ellen getting kicked off her first show was because she was gay and the ratings went down. Nah, man, ratings were great. Apparently, she cursed out the executives one weekend. And then on a Friday, Monday, her office was cleared. That's all it was.
Does not surprise me from everything I've heard about Ellen, to be honest.
Yeah, I know, but you don't, I mean, like it makes much more sense now. Same thing with Brett Butler. She had a show, apparently. It was like number 1 or number 7. She fucking flipped out on the wrong motherfucker. And they were like, pieces. And I'm like, oh, this business is interesting. Like, and that's just a whole history of these things. And I was trying to make a TV show on this shit. Just on like how people like just leave shit. And it was weird because I actually got into a fight with my producers and executives because they were like, we want to make it where the guy goes crazy. I'm like, nah. Nah, y'all are assholes. So I got to see it on a very small scale. What's up?
You just got to do a fucking web series about it now, man. Because that's the new, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I believe it. Yeah, no, I really, the idea of being completely free and having your own audience is like, did you watch that Bill Burr, Joe Rogan podcast where they were like, they had this point was like, selling 20,000 and owning all your rights is better than selling 200 million and not owning your rights. I was just like, wow. It's like you make more money if you sell 20,000. It's like, oh, shit. So like, I think what's that Hammer?
Yeah, that's
Hammer had that philosophy. Shit.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's like it's going to be interesting to see in the entertainment world the next year because I mean, like, there's agencies that have fallen apart. There's agents that have been fired. You know, and like you're learning slowly but surely that it's like, it's kind of, it is almost becoming entertainment-wise a full-on free market.
And we're all equal now. When like I was watching Andrew Schultz's show. You seen that shit? It's on YouTube. Andrew Schultz's show is kind of formatted like all the other talk shows, except because he has access to a studio. It looks much better and it's funnier than all the other talk shows by far. By far. And it's like, yo, an equal playing field? Like, yo, this is, like, that format doesn't work without an audience. It's not even that good with an audience. But a lot of the formats, like, yo, these joke structure is fucking annoyingly garbage. Because, okay, now I'm really bad about that. This is passionately, I'm angry. The joke structure on all the talk shows are all based off of 50s, or 40s and 50s, and was based off of before Johnny Carson. There was just this prototype of a Midwestern white guy who has a certain type of rhythm and grammar, and you know, well, I don't know if you know what happened today in the news today. And so they actually don't write the joke; they just write to that cadence, and it's like the joke is bigger than the cadence, nigga. Stop writing that fucking cadence. If they just think, oh, formula, it works for the last 60 years, so we'll keep doing it. Like, I don't know. And this is like, y'all, the wrong people in charge sometimes. But now the internet's gonna change that shit.
Truly.
I mean, yeah, dude, the talk show format got tired a long fucking time ago, and it's like everybody wants to fit into a box. No one wants to actually be, but no one actually wants to be the cereal. You know what I mean? No one cares. It's just like, I want to be crunchy and full of fruit and frosting. It's like, but what if you don't fit in a box though? What if you have to be served in a bag? It's like, nah, fuck that. Boxes only. That's where you get. That's where people buy the boxes. It's like, yeah, but actually the people who buy the bag cereal tend to have more money and do better at savings and probably healthier.
This analogy going. I like it.
But
You're right, Seaton. Like sorry, my computer just froze for a second. I was just saying that the cadence just doesn't translate. Like, the cadence doesn't work. It has to be more like almost like a Jon Stewart type monologue. He didn't really fall into that cadence, you know?
No, but he took him a while. It took him about 6 or 7 years to figure out he wants to do more narrative-based versus joke-based. Yeah. And that narrative-based was like mind-blowingly awesome. Because there was another motherfucker who should do it in the early, the very first Jack Parr. Now I got obsessed with talk shows. Jack Parr and Jack Benny. Jack Benny would do kind of story-like jokes, and then he would get into situations, which was fucking dope. That was a show I tried to pitch, and hopefully I'll be making it by myself. But Jack Parr, he would get up there and just tell these stories about his day. And the thing about him, though, he was kind of like mentally unstable. So it's kind of dope. So if you listen to him, it always seemed like he was going to fall apart at any moment. He didn't have any of that shit. And I was like, yo, talk shows used to be the shit. But then they started, once they saw Steve Allen, then Steve Allen went to fucking Johnny Carson. And after Johnny was just like, all right, he's number one. We got to be that. So they didn't even pick comedians to be fucking. So, something happened. We got to reflect. We got to feel like we got a noise thing, whatever.
Yeah, we got a weird echo. I'm not sure what's happening. But yeah, my dad used to show me Jack Benny and Parr, and like that shit was, I guess we got to break the format now. It's just
I honestly think that the old format from back when it was a radio, just with new TV. If you ever watch new TV shows, it looks like the internet. A lot looser. It's a lot more. It's a lot just. Especially, man, there's some vlogs out there that are fucking blowing my mind. Casey Neistat, like the shit's just like, fucking like, this could be TV, and it's all going to the. Roy Wood Jr. said this shit once. He was like, listen, our TV is connected to the internet now. The difference is about to get smaller and smaller, and now there's no difference.
That's very true. There's none. Wait, can we do the story?
Oh yeah, we gotta get the story. So
we do the podcast.
Gotta get the story. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the words you sent me are cosmic, barbershop, heckler, Comedy Central, and X. Okay. Here's what we think the story is. Right. So knowing you, and you've kind of demonstrated this, you said you becoming more spiritual in your older age, but I've known you for about 12 years now, and you've always been a very spiritual, very open-minded gentleman. So I think this story is about a time that you had an out-of-body experience, cosmic astral projection, right? And you get out of it, you get out there, and you're no longer in your body. You're floating around, in an ethereal being. And you swing by your local barbershop just to see what these fucking guys are up to. And you float in there and you're hearing them all. Some of them are talking shit about politics. Some are about sports. Some just about, fucking different types of cigars.
And you're like, I'm not sure if this astral projection is working. So I gotta like wave my hand in front of some of these faces, talk to them, see if like this is really working. And it seems to be. So you start fucking with them. You start heckling them and saying everything that you thought about these people. But finally, their face, but they can't hear it. And then what happens, Sean?
Well, then one of them laughs, and the guy he's talking to goes, "What are you laughing?" He's like, "You didn't hear that?" And he's like, "No, I didn't hear shit." He's like, "Oh, weird." And then you realize, oh man, I just achieved something amazing. I made someone laugh from beyond the flesh in spirit form. And in that moment, you zip back into your body, right? Cosmic experience done for now. And you're like, this is my comedic calling. And that leads, of course, to your successes and you getting on Comedy Central. And then you're hanging out with this girlfriend of yours, and she asks, what inspired all your comedy?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you decide, I've never really told anyone about this astral projection stuff, but I really like this girl, and I'm going to tell her the truth about like why I kind of went on this path of comedy and like this experience that I had. And she is not an open-minded spiritual person. And you sort of realize if she can't accept this part about me, we are not meant to be. And so you break up, and that's the story.
Nice.
And that,
you know what? You get some stuff there. You honestly did. The astral projection shit, what I felt, you actually get some stuff there.
Wait, what? Okay, wait.
What's actually happened?
Yeah.
The whole part of the story was like why I made a special edited from my cell phone footage. For last year, I gotta explain the build up real quick. For last year, I broke a match, and I spent the whole year not being funny. I don't know what the fuck happened. From like last March till about November, I stopped being funny. I don't know what the fuck. I just didn't give a fuck. My soul left me. I don't know what was going on, and I was stuck in the same old.
A question about that, because I think every comedian goes through these moments. Do you feel like, because there's differences here for audiences, like, do you feel like not being funny as in just on stage you were having shit sets? Because I was doing shows with you all throughout this time, and that was definitely not the case. Are you saying more just you felt the shit coming out of you was just like you just weren't funny?
Yeah, I didn't want to be there no more. I didn't like comedy. I didn't like myself. I didn't like my thoughts. I didn't like it. I was just collecting money to survive. I wasn't even giving a fuck. I didn't want. It was like year 17 of comedy. I was just like, man, I don't care. Like, I remember when I first, because I was with my ex, it was kind of a cool peak because I was falling in love. I had energy, I had excitement with stuff. I didn't want to see the future. I didn't give a fuck, and I was lost like a motherfucker. So then I just kept staying on this old material just because I didn't have anything else to give a fuck about. Just staying on this old material, X shit. I'm still talking about that. So like a year later, I'm still talking about this motherfucker. And then nothing was working. And then like I was really not doing. I was doing that Comedy Central show. I wasn't getting any spots on that show, even though I was taping for it. And it frustrated me a lot because I was on the 2 pilots that got the show picked up. I'm killing the pilots.
You're talking about the
Comedy
Friday
Central
Night
Comedy Central show, yeah. And so I didn't get on that show. That was like insulted. I just felt insulted by the shit because I was killing and not getting on it. And I get it. I was like, all right, I don't fit the show. Whatever. I'm not supposed to fit every show. I'm an odd comic. That's fine. But then one motherfucking night, my ex was on. Again, the woman I taught how to do comedy, I don't mind. She's on. She's young. She's cute. She fits it. Yes. But then one motherfucking night, she gets on and she does a joke about me. Okay. And she calls me Rashad or some shit. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I can breathe that through. Then her new boyfriend was right after and did a joke about me and called me Jamal. And so I was like, whoa, wait, so I'm not funny enough to be on the show, but the person I taught how to be funny is going to do a joke about me and her boyfriend's going to do a no joke about it? Is there a personal beef? Like, I wondered, like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I was losing it. I was like kind of dizzy. I got drunk and high. I was like, lit. So I just walk out. I walk out and I go, all right, I'm going to go outside and just try to just deal with it. Like, what am I going to do? And I think, okay, what if I go to a show and fucking go on stage and riff about her and maybe find a dope ass moment, right? And so there's a show called the Barbershop Show, which is over there on Second Avenue. So I go, and I fucking get on stage, and I'm talking, like, I'm ready. I'm like, yeah, my ex. And anyways, so I'm ready to talk shit. And then, this is fuck me up. Somebody's phone, not a person's voice, somebody's phone had an electronic robotic voice. I said, yeah, me and my girlfriend broke up. And a voice said, that's too bad. It was a fucking phone voice. That's too bad. And I look up, what the fuck? She was like, I don't know what happened. The phone just went off by itself. and I'm just sitting there like, what the fuck is happening to me? Right? What? So it was one of those moments where I was like, okay.
Heckled by Siri.
What's up?
Heckled by Siri.
I was heckled by Siri. So there's a video on my Instagram, if anybody wants to see, where that actual moment actually is on tape. I have it. And I thought to myself, like, all right, I had 2 choices. I can either go into the darkness and blame the cosmic gods, or I can just let go of this material and never. I feel like that was just like don't talk about it anymore and let all this shit go and get it out of your system. So that's what this special. I just edited it all up, so I'm never gonna do that material again and just start over and start my life over, because I was like, I think that's the cosmos telling me to move on. So
that's interesting. Yeah, man.
That's shit. Yeah, fucked me up, yo. Telling him just now, I'm like, oh shit, I went back there for a second. Oh man, that shit sucked.
The cosmos pumping through you through technology. You know what I mean? Like through.
Yeah, just move on, nigga. Get on with your life. I was like, all right, you're right, Cosmos. I don't know what the fuck I'm sticking on this shit, bro. So I don't know. It was a cool breakthrough. So then I just threw the material out. It was nice. It was like I spent the last month. I spent my first month. COVID, editing it all, just part of my life. Like, I'm happy it's there because, like, now you know, like, that was where I was at in my life. I fucking was at the cellar, fucking with people, growing my art, and I've never, now it's cool. I can, like, watch that special and go back to that time of my life, but I can also move the fuck on. Like, I'm not going back to that human being anymore. It's dope. Now I'm, like, writing again, like, I love my new shit, and I'm gonna do a one-man show and just fucking just be somewhere. Just, I don't know. It was like, I was angry, but I was like, oh, thankful. Like, oh, thank you. Because I could have wasted another year of my life doing that stupid material.
You know, that's awesome. That sounds really cathartic, actually. Is like, now it's out there and it's done and you can just move on.
Yeah. I mean, I want people to see it, but I'm like, I don't know. I never did comedy to get famous, which is annoying. I just did it because it was like a wonderful, I don't know, honestly, I read this book called The Zen and the Art of Archery, and it was like this philosophy of like, the art you do is your connection to God, And that's really all I've been doing. I've always been connected to God, and money always just kind of showed up. Which, so now I'm gonna actually try to make money, but I don't know.
But this goes to a point you said earlier about and this isn't because you fucked up or anything. This is just something we should all do a little bit more. Say something nice about each other, because I know just from talking to you, just from hanging out, and many conversations you and I've just had at the Olive Tree or wherever, just talking, we both experienced a frustration and it's painful at times with because that's why I asked about what you meant by not funny anymore, because I know every comedian goes through this. A lot of comedians don't want to admit it because there's a facade, and a lot of comedians create a persona, and there's everything's great, and some comedians don't ever seem to go through this and produce at a certain level all the time. That's great now as well, but there are times where it's where you're going on stage and nothing's working and you're bombing, and that's one thing. But then there are times where you're going on stage and everything's working, but that your life, your heart is not in that material anymore. And even though you may be getting a good reaction, to you it's this sucks. None of that was good. And that is far worse than going on stage and bomb.
Yeah.
Because you're bombing here. You're bombing inside. And that's worse than bombing outside. Because at least bombing in front of an audience on the outside, you can find something in that moment to be funny. Whereas if you're killing on the outside but bombing on the inside, it's fucking over. There's nothing miserable. I've been in that same exact position. But you get through it, and you find some way to move on. And like you just kind of illustrated, you found something, you found a purpose in it. But I can say this about you, Seaton Smith. I have always admired you because you have always just beat out your own path. And I have always admired that about you. That you have always, you've had, you were on Mulaney, and you've had successes in many ways, but it was always something you did on your own. You never, it never fell into some hot moment, the industry's hottest, industry's top 10 black comedians from DC, that type of shit. You were never part of some hollow bullshit movement created by execs to make money. You were always Seaton Smith, original. You did your own thing. And I always appreciate that about you. And
thanks, man.
This just sounds like another step in that path of Seaton Smith just beating out his own path.
Yeah.
Because you talk
I really appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And you talk about here's a similarity. I taped a lot of fucking episodes for that Comedy Central show as well. And this season, only one clip of mine aired, and it was about 8 seconds long. Right?
Yeah.
And because you said it perfectly, some comedians just aren't meant for a goddamn, what is a borderline clip show. But the fact of the matter is, that was never the seller's choice. It was always Comedy Central's choice. The seller, what I always took solace in when I would tape these shows and not end up on the episode was that, okay, Comedy Central didn't think I was good enough, but the seller kept putting me on because they did. And I cared infinitely more what the staff of the seller thinks about me than fucking Comedy Central, which barely exists anymore. But point is...
Absolutely. I feel, Esty and Lorne Michaels are the two most important voices. I think Esty, Lorne, and then a distant third is Judd Apatow. You know what I mean? In the sense, I'm not saying distant. I would say, for me, I want his respect, which is cool. I want to be in his movies, but I want Lorne Michaels to be you're funny as fuck. I want Esty to be you're funny as fuck. That's the shit I'm gonna take to my grave. Judd is dope because I just want to learn from that motherfucker. He's the shit. He's a great man.
Well, dude, I've seen many a time you at the Cellar have fantastic, and not just at the Cellar, at many of venues, fantastic. There's still a story that I don't tell that often, but about, you remember when, in Williamsburg, New York, there's a bar called Union Pool.
Yeah.
That has this beautiful back showroom that, you can get about 100, 150 people in there. It's a beautiful. Problem with the place is that it's a bar called Union Hall in fucking Williamsburg, and it's just a bunch of 26-year-old. Union Pool, I'm sorry. Union Pool is a bunch of fucking 26-year-old. I don't know if they're trust fund, but they're definitely not fucking not trust fund.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? They're just a bunch of like, oh God, we are so aware. And it's like, are you? It's really easy to be aware when you don't have to pay your own credit card bill, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
That's for emergencies only. And I guess the emergency tonight was you and 5 of your friends had to come out and drink mojitos because you're so open-minded. You're going to drink mojitos. Anyway,
Don't miss that.
but that room, I remember it was full of those kids. And you went up and hosted, and this was like early in your New York life.
Oh,
okay.
Like, I'm trying to remember too. I'm like, oh shit.
You moved here in what, 2012 maybe? No.
Yeah, moved here 2011. January 2011, I moved here. So yeah, those first 2 years, whoo, learning experience. But
you came with this like rugged, like I don't give a fuck attitude into this show and just corralled this. And I know it's crazy, the idea of like, what do you mean a rowdy audience in Brooklyn? That shit exists a lot. Yeah, just not rowdy like boo, fuck you, but rowdy with apathy, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Just like took this dumb, loud with apathy, this audience that was there to watch comedy, but they weren't going to give a fuck, and turned them into this like insanely attentive, good crowd. And it was because you spoke a language that was not theirs. You were like, no, I'm not going to sit here and stand and be like a fucking squid. I'm not going to stand up here and just be like oh my God, you guys, like you were like, nah, fuck that. Motherfucker, you said a couple words I, as a white man, cannot.
Oh yeah, you say nigga enough sometimes in the room. It really makes me like, oh. I mean, yeah, like that's actually, I realize that's actually a thing. It's like a primal thing. It's like you got to hit the reptile brain. Hit them, keep hitting that reptile brain, make it focus. You know. What time is it now? Hold on, make sure. No, I got another 10 minutes. 7 to 10.
I just texted Sean. We got to wrap up anyway. So the same.
Oh shit. Yo, Sean, thank you for saying that shit, man. You always said me and Kyle Kinane are the two most. We need like comedy counselors to get our brains right. But nah, man.
That's true, man. Like it's hard, and but you're always you're a guy who I've always just. It's like you've always done your own thing, and I've always appreciated that about you.
Yeah, man. I've always appreciated you. I mean, I ain't gonna lie. The shit you came up with the last 6 months was fucking. Woo! I mean, because as fun as a host, I get to see there's these weird arcs where like motherfuckers just are okay, and then they just you see them level up, not getting a little bit better, but like level up. What the fuck is that? You know, like, and that was what I'm saying. Like, you were like, you know, I mean, when you first got there, you were just uncomfortable. You were just like, I mean, what do I need now? And then you became like, no, you're gonna fucking love me, not accept me. You're gonna fucking love me. You just turned into this, woo, just punchline. Oh.
Yes.
It was crazy. So, anyways, I can't wait to see I can't wait to see the new hour.
Thanks, man. And you know, I'm excited that you. I wish I could say for sure the Edinburgh Fringe Festival is happening next year. But like, if you're doing a one-person show, I definitely take it out there for sure.
I definitely should. Yeah, man, that was funny. That's the one thing about the cool thing about the Second Cellar. You have these grades to be like, you need to work harder. Like Babiglia was like, yeah, like that's what happened. That got me out of my rut. Babiglia was like, took me on the road and was like, yeah, you got to get back into it. And then Colin Quinn was like, write a one-man show right now. Give me a script by the end of the week. And I was like, okay, sir. It was one of those, yeah, you just need motherfuckers you respect to make you move. And I'm thankful. So I'm thankful to the Cellar sometimes. A lot, actually.
You know something fucking like that. One interaction I think I've had with Birbiglia, it was pretty fucking embarrassing, and it was like a few months back before all this happened. You remember when him and Mulaney were at the Cellar a lot? Like John was, maybe warming up for SNL. Did he host earlier this year? Something. Anyway, I have a horrendous facial memory. That's just a fact about me, right? I see John. I say hi to John. I say hi to Mike, and then there's this woman with John who I know that's not John's wife because I've met her before. And I introduced myself to her and she goes, yeah, I know who you are. You do this every fucking time, dude. And it was John's manager. Right? I can't remember. I'm an asshole for not bringing her name. But in the moment, it was like, shit, fuck, you're right. I have introduced myself to you before. Sorry. I was like, I'm so sorry. She's like, it's fine, man, whatever. And we like shake hands. I'm like, sorry. Anyway, nice to see you again. And Mike's right there. And I'm like, hey, Mike. Yeah,
That's
Mike.
design. I think that's a power move. I've decided I'm now introducing myself to all people going, hey, nice to see you again. Oh, we've met? That's my new thing. I have to do it because I'm sick of that shit. That's a fucking guilt trip. You should have been more remarkable the first time I met you for me to remember you. Fuck you.
Especially if I haven't seen you perform. If you're a manager, that's why comics don't remember unless they've seen you perform. Then
yeah, but I think like in memory, I think like her and I probably had a conversation or two. I'm just because I've seen because she would be around a lot too whenever John was around.
You know what, Sean? It's because you're a sexist asshole. Okay.
That's it. I'm a fucking jerk, and I can't remember any women's faces. Seaton number 2. Oh wait, that's Caitlin. I thought there was just 2 Seatons.
Amanda, God.
Yeah.
Anyways, where can we find you?
Where can people look up your stuff?
Go to SeatonSmith.com. If you can't do that, go to YouTube and just type in youtube.com/Seaton Smith. Instagram is also Instagram Seaton Smith. But type me in Google. My website will come up, Seaton Smith, and that's where you can find all the stuff. The specials, the first thing you'll see. If you don't even just go ahead, just click on it. Just give me a viewpoint. Don't even just give me some views. I don't even care if you watch the whole thing. It'd be nice if you do, but if not, click. Or if not, whatever. See me live. I got new shit.
You could see me on my new website, my new web series, Sorry, John Mulaney's Manager. I'm trying to get better about this. It's a web series where I apologize to people who I forgot that I'd already met.
Who is his new manager now? Because he used to be with Becky, and now I guess he's somebody else. I don't know who that person is. All right. Anywho.
No, it wasn't his manager. It was his publicist.
Or his assistant?
No, I don't think it was his assistant. Definitely was not his assistant.
Doesn't matter. Go look up Seaton stuff. He's amazing. I loved this conversation because we were all talking all over each other because I just think that we missed each other so much. That's what I
do, man. I can't wait
to talk about. It's a lot of shit.
I miss y'all, man. I hope to see y'all soon. I'm just going to be around. Hopefully we'll start breaking this COVID pattern. Eventually we'll just, as a people, we're just going to just stop doing it. So hopefully soon. So anyways, be safe, y'all.
Yeah, you too.
Bye.
Later, bud.
Bye.
I know that I normally write much funnier songs, but I can't right now, no. Everything going so wrong. And I'm not the one that you should be listening to right now. So, here's a list of some of my favorite Black comedians who can turn your frowns upside down. And yes, that's the whitest way I could phrase that. This is not a complete list by any means. These are just some of my favorite Black comics whose names I can fit into about a minute of a song whose names also happen to rhyme. Here we go. Reggie Watts, Michelle Buteau, Roy Wood Jr., Joy L. Nicole, Langston Kermit, Sam J. Sashir Zamata, and Michael J. Chalet Sharp, the Lucas Bros, and Baron Vaughn, Will Miles, and Clark Jones, Monroe Martin, and Tulsi Sloan, Mia Jackson, and Solomon Giorgio, and that's not even a fraction of the Black comics out there. It's just a very short list. I didn't even get to Hannibal Buress, but I guess you gotta start somewhere. I'm happy to do a part 2, part 3, part 4. Let me know, and also let me know your favorite Black comic in the comments.